Thank you, folks. I want to thank everyone who told me the sound was off again. I don't know why that keeps being an issue, but I'm going to work on it and try to make sure, at least that I check back at the start of each broadcast to make sure that we have audio. Anyway, so yesterday we announced the HackJack, a pluggable cyborg implantable device that would allow you to interact with an AI assistant through bone conduction audio and also download projects and new knowledge directly to your brain. Unfortunately, this is not actually a thing, but I wanted to thank everyone who played along and got inspired by this. I've prepared a small statement. So we have pulled the plug on the HackJack. Despite the good timing, after 20 years of the Matrix movie being released, in fact, let me show you, it was released on March 31st, 1999, and I don't know if that makes you feel like a crone, but I sure do. Now it appears that my other window has disappeared. Come here. There we are. Okay, The Matrix. Yes, if you check the publication date, you'll see that it was released in the US on March 31st, 1999. And so we thought this would be a great theme for something to share with you. So we published this article yesterday, and you can still find that. We're going to leave it up. I'm not going to add a disclaimer because I think people, once you get to a certain point in this article, especially the part about learning Kung Fu, I think a lot of people picked up on it. In case you're wondering, I'm extremely jet-lagged right now, and that will come up in relevance later in the video. So, we have unfortunately decided to withdraw our announcement until further testing is complete. We will not be performing live installs, whether with a screw attachment or no. After our announcement yesterday, we were pleased to host a community conversation around ethics, security, and data usage. And this is true. We had a lot of really cool questions from people about infection and like, what about different data protocols, and like how are you going to confront the ethics of this, you know, and also about security, which I thought was really cool. Like whether or not some of you were also just playing along, which was my favorite response, we got to have a pretty cool set of discussions around that stuff. I want to thank Adam Benzian, our CEO, and Mike Gurl, our designer, as well as Artie Beavis, our CMO, for their help with this. I definitely did not create it alone. A lot of the smoke and mirrors was a collaborative effort, and cheers, everyone. Thanks again to everyone who played along. There was clearly a lot of interest in this, and I think part of it is because a lot of us just want to be able to download experience and information directly to our brains. It would be really cool, right? Like someday. And there are also questions around research that is being done in similar areas right now. Like, people are trying to build this, and what kind of questions do we need to be asking? Like, I love the fact that we got to talk about that. So we sure hope to see you again next year on March 32nd, 2020. So I do have a few cool things to share with you today. It's not just a letdown from yesterday. We actually have, I mentioned that I've been into building so-called mind-altering gadgets for a while. And, oh, first up, if you want to build your own head jack, I've published this now as a thing on Thingiverse, so you can download the STLs. There is this sort of cosplay version, which is the flat version, and you can just coat it in Rub and Buff, which is this sort of metallic finish. And then I added some black paint to the recesses to make it a little more realistic and a little more grimy, and attached it to my head with double-sided sticky tape, and you can do the same. It's kind of amazing how realistic it looks though, right? And there's also a version that is more of a prop that you can print and sort of bring around with you and show off to people. And also I've published a version of our custom V2 Hackster one that has the Hackster logo as our new high bandwidth, high surface area data plug, which you can also use. So you can find those and print them for yourself. Yeah, so this is not the first time I've talked about brain gadgets, and there's a new one that relates very much to my jet lag right now. And so I'm going to be testing it some more over the next few days. I've tried it in the past, and it's worked pretty decently. There are some of these similar questions around safety and how much you should encourage people to explore new technology if the safety of it hasn't been fully explored yet. So there are definitely some all caps caveats in this tutorial, but you can find it through the link in this video's description. It's not yet fully published. You have to go to my profile or to the link to find it. But what this is basically is a wearable sad lamp for your face. Yeah, with no ultraviolet frequencies. If you're not familiar, seasonal affective disorder is something that people get a lot in the winter climes, in the winter months, in certain climates where you don't get a lot of sunlight. And so people will make these anti-seasonal affective disorder lamps, which basically blast your face with a ton of light. In particular, about 10,000 lumens from a couple feet away, which is an incredible amount of energy. And I had this question that's like, you know, what if we just isolate the frequencies that you need, and if you put them up by your face, then you would not need an entire lamp. It'd be a lot more portable. You could have it just be wearable. And so I came up with this thing that I call the Glowup. Before building this, I noticed that there are 3 companies building something similar right now. And so I basically nabbed their research. Because it's a new technology, these companies have to sort of publish their science in order to convince people that it's safe and that it works. And so I sort of grabbed their published science. There's Retimer, ProPeak, and AO. And these all are basically the same concept, which was encouraging. We've got a bit of a slow connection here, but yeah. As you can see. And all of these have sort of science pages that you can check out. In fact, this retimer has a whole section on it. And you can see us trying these out in Selfridges last year. These are the AO ones. Whoa! So it looks almost exactly the same, except for that theirs are mounted above your eyes, and they have a bit of a diffuser, which is something you definitely want. One of the important things to note here is that you need to make sure you're not shining lights directly into your eyes, and you definitely don't have any UV frequencies. So anyway, with those caveats, and I'm going to repeat them a lot because I don't want to get sued or anyone to hurt themselves, I go into how you choose what types of components to use. This one in particular, I'm powering off of 5 volts because it's easy. If you put 2 2.7 volt blue LEDs in series, then together they add up to about 5.4 volts, which means that they will be able to run on 5 volts, a little dimmer than they normally would, but it totally works. And I insulated everything with hot glue as usual, so it does look pretty, you know, prototype-ish, but it works. And I have a little micro USB attachment on the other end here. So I'm going to be using this in the mornings to try and adjust to the 8-hour time difference as I am visiting family this week. I just got off the plane like 4 hours ago, and it's a little special right now, but hopefully this is going to help me out. I have heard of one article that says that shining any kind of blue light in isolation into your eyes without the other frequencies around it is very harmful. And so I actually want to put this as a question to one of the companies. There's actually a 4th company now that's going to be starting a crowdfunding campaign, and I want to ask them about it because there's 4 companies doing this now. They must, and they're all using blue to green blue frequencies. So they must have thought about this. And if they haven't, then we should be raising that question with them, right? So we'll see. I would recommend not building this yet unless you are a biohacker and you have, you kind of play fast and loose with your rods and cones. but I'm going to be seeing how it works for me. And be sure to check out the tutorial and see what I publish next about it if you're curious about this. Oh yeah, for a future version, A, I want to do a glasses mounted version, and B, I want to try with flexible PCBs like Osh Park is doing. And then finally, I want to show you how it goes on without blasting this in my eyes. But it's basically like this. And you get to look like an alien. And yeah, so I can actually not see the LEDs right now, but I'm getting the benefit of the ambient light. I'm gonna stop now before people like start yelling at me. Anytime I do something like vaguely biohackery, people yell at me on the internet, and I don't want to get flamed. So a million disclaimers: don't do this at home. If you do, read all the science about it, and take your own risks. But yeah, I hope you found this an adequate recompense for feeling deceived yesterday if you feel like you got cheated out of the Matrix future, which honestly, it's not necessarily a future we really want. Also, be sure to pick up your custom Matrix head jack. You can do all kinds of stuff to customize it. I actually built this original one in Onshape, the online browser-based CAD tool, and then I modified it with Tinkercad to match it up with an SVG of our logo, which is a great, easy way to customize something like this if you want to make your own version. So go grab those. The links are in the description to this video. Maybe rewatch The Matrix, just the first one. And I hope that you enjoyed our little game yesterday. Have a great rest of your day, and enjoy Teardown Tuesday.